What is up, YouTubers, gamers, and fellow hobbyists out there? Welcome to this review of the Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy paints, or at least, to be fair, the paints I have used. So, I've had them a while now, and I've used them quite extensively, just these few here. I thought, I'm not... to begin with, I thought, do I get the set? And then I thought, well, what if I don't like them? Then I've got a set of paints I don't like. Let's just get a few basic ones and see how I go. So in here, I've got two washes. I've got Battle Mud Wash and Oblivion Black Wash. That's kind of the equivalent of Agrax Earthshade and Null Noil right there. I've got White Star, which is very similar to White Scar. Intentional? I don't know. Doom Death Black. You know, he uses that one a lot on his videos. Because black and white, you use them in pretty much everything, don't you? And then I got a Demon Red because I wanted to use... I was doing some reds, actually, on a Blood Angel and various other things. So... what do I think of them? Well, okay. First of all, let's compare. Like wash, for instance. Let's just grab any old wash from Army Painter Quick Shade. Well, there you go. There's a comparison size for bottle. Okay. You all know the size of a wash in a GW pot. Alright. That's pretty much the only washes I use. Pretty much. Now let's see if I can see any information on the GW one here. It might not tell me how many milliliters or what have you, but oh yes, it does. 0.8 fluid ounces, or 24 milliliters. That's how much you get in a GW pot of wash. In a Army Painter wash, you get 18 milliliters, or 0.6 fluid ounces. In the Duncan Rhodes one, you get, let's have a look here, 0.5 fluid ounces, or 15 milliliters. So you're getting a lot less for starters. That's not necessarily a bad thing if the price reflects that. I don't think, price-wise, I don't think it's any more economic than an Army Painter or even a Vallejo paint, because they come in the same size bottles. One annoying thing I found with this was this. Hear the agitator in there? You might think, well, that's alright, isn't it? Well, two things here. One, it's a wash. I don't think you need an agitator in a wash. Personally, that's just my own personal belief, because it's very liquidy anyway. It's very thin anyway. And the black one, you don't even get it, which is better, because sometimes with these, and they've got a very like a rounded end, the agitator can block the flow of the wash coming out, and it's difficult to squeeze out, much more so than it is one of these. Now, I know people's views on dropper bottles and the GW pots. When it comes to washes, I think I prefer the pots, if I'm honest. So, washes side of it, I prefer GW or Vallejo, Army Painter, whatever. So, what about the actual colours themselves? Well, the Battle Mud wash is very, I don't know, dark and muddy. I've used it on this figure. It's not as nice, I don't think, as the Agrax Earthshade, or even this strong tone or mid-tone ones you get in Army Painter. I don't like it much. As a wash, I don't like the brown. As a wash, as a colour, the black wash, yeah, it's alright. It's comparable to Null Oil, I would say. The paints, quite thick. I think the bottles are slightly too hard to squeeze out. You try to squeeze out, and then all of a sudden you get a blam, a splodge come out. Not a fan of that. I'm not impressed with the bottles. And the size, for the money, you don't get as much. I don't think they're as economical as it looks. I think it's a false economy. I think you go through them far more than you would others. The red one, it's alright. It's a bit chalky. It's not a huge fan. Overall, if this is the baseline to go by, would I head out and buy a load more colours? Not really. I might be tempted to get the odd one or two if it was a pretty unique colour, particularly if I was trying to follow a tutorial that he was doing on his channel or something like that. I notice on his channel he kind of sometimes uses his own paint raids, but you notice he doesn't solely use it, and I think there's a good reason for that. And I think that reason is they're just not as good. They are nowhere near as good as the GW paints, not by a long stretch. I just don't think they are. I think it's a novelty to get the paints because of the name, but yeah, I'm not really into them. They don't impress me much. If I had to choose between these and Vallejo, I'd just Vallejo every time, or Army Painter every time. And I know in a paint range, not every paint has the same sort of quality. Sometimes you get to know in a range, like in GW, for instance, you know that the bone colours, they dry pretty quickly. The whites, they can be quite chalky. That's just a nuance of the range. For the most part, most people do tutorials with GW paints because everybody knows them. Everybody knows the colours. They know where they are with them. They know what to expect. I mean, what do you get in a bog standard pot of paint? So you get 12 milliliters in a bog standard pot of paint. So that's about the same as these, I would say. Oh no, 15, slightly more in here than a bog standard GW paint, but is it worth it? I don't know. I don't think so, but that's just my opinion and just what I've found. I just prefer the GW paints. True, they've got a lot greater range. I'm not writing them off. Don't get me wrong. I'm not writing them off by any means. I'd like to try maybe a blue. See how we get on with some blue action See if that's any good. Maybe a green. Purples, yeah, I'm not a huge fan in any kind of range, really. Reds I usually like, which is why I went for red. Ugh, excuse me. This is why I went for red. I mean, it's not bad. It's just no, didn't blow me away. So I suppose I'm not a fan of the washes. I'd use them more for colours if I had to, but like I say, not blowing me away. I'm a bit underwhelmed by it, if I'm truthful. I don't know if other colour paints have agitators in them. I sincerely hope they do not. Like I say, I'm not a fan of agitators in bottles. Sometimes they have them in these as well. Like, well, it's not that one, but some do. Whether that's because something to do with the pigments in them, I don't know. But as a rule of thumb, I don't like agitators, and I prefer agitators, as in like the steel ones or whatever, the ones that don't corrode, in pots. And I don't, that is where an agitator works best, because it bashes. It's got a wider area to bash against the side of. In a bottle, it can really only go up and down, not do a lot, and then get stuck in the nozzle. I just don't enjoy that. It doesn't make for an enjoyable painting session for me. But that's just me. Like I say, some people love them. I'm just not one of them. That's my review. That's my experience on the Duncan Rhodes Painting Academy paints. Don't get me wrong, Duncan Rhodes, I love him. Brilliant painter. I love his channel. Love his tutorials. I just don't love the paints that he's marketing here. Not a fan. Well, I might change my mind in the future, but for here and now, I'll stick to my tried and tested and the ones I know. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, all brushes lead to war, and I will see you on another video. Bye for now. Bye-bye.